Hello, all. Good to see you guys. Glad that everyone's watching, subscribing, liking, all of that stuff. It's so amazing. As you can see, I'm in my usual spot. Maybe I'll kind of figure out like going between the two or whatnot. Just kind of seeing. I think one of the things that is my main frustration right now is that I bought this microphone and it is not working in the way that I want it to. So, I'm gonna have to figure that one out. I don't like. I have tried it in every way, all sorts of tests, and I'm just like, it's not working. It's not working, and it's so frustrating. Um, anyway, so I did turn comments on for my last video, and so I am getting a little bit of positive feedback. Really glad to see that. It's I turned them off because I needed more boundaries around this. It was kind of turning into be critical of Vanessa, because she's being critical of the field, and it's just kind of like I've been told not to feel the way that I feel for so long and not to have opinions that I'm really tired of it. It gets to a point where it's like, you know what, I have to take a stance here. There are problems in the field, and I feel like it is perfectly fine to talk about things realistically. I'm not trying to, put down everyone. I'm trying to raise people's awareness about what's going on, and that's really where I'm coming from. And I think, I watch a lot of videos where like people do rationally and reasonably criticize other people, constructively criticize people. And that's where I want to come from. And if that's being misunderstood, it's being misunderstood on the listener's part. It's not me, and like, it's really tough to get that across though. And I also feel like it's too easy for people on, these like social media outlets to confuse a therapist with their therapist. I'm just a therapist on here, and I understand what my role is here. And I do this because I love it. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it. But I have to have boundaries around it because I can really foresee myself getting too involved with, an issue or something, and just really not being able to kind of separate. I get paid for what I do. I'm not being paid for this. Like, I can't continue to, help people who I don't know that well and who aren't paying me and who aren't clients, and if that comes off as greedy, you know what? It comes off as greedy. I don't know what else to tell you. If that's your impression of me, all right. Thanks for watching. Anyway, so as the title says, that personal training as a way to help mental issues. So I have done, like, I had a personal trainer for 3 years. I've been going to the gym for about 5 years now. So I got to the gym, I started kind of doing stuff, and it just really wasn't working in the way that I wanted it to. And I was in a point in my life at that point where, like, I always feel like I've just never really been the type to talk. I've always just been like, let everyone else do their thing. I'll be here. I'm fine. And just really actually have that type of voice. Like, I'm fine. It's okay. But, with going to personal training, I learned to be very comfortable in my body. And I think that has helped me in doing this, in doing better poetry readings, actually, because man, those first couple of years of poetry was like, hi, this is Vanessa and I really want to say this thing, and okay, so there's this, and then I'd end up like, I'd get through it, but it was a terrible, anxiety provoking situation. I had total control over it, but it was still very anxiety provoking for me. So having that boost in confidence was really helpful. And I did get to, places that I didn't think that I would get to in within my body. And I think that also helped with a lot of things. And like my personal journey with anxiety and depression is totally going to be different from other people's. I really do feel like there were a lot of environmental factors in my depression and anxiety, like being treated like crap at school, or not eating correctly and not eating in a way that didn't affect my body. I didn't realize how many things I was allergic to because reasons. And, for all of those things, and also not having confidence and not feeling comfortable with myself, it all around wasn't helpful. So to work with someone who didn't mind talking with me every week and who didn't mind, like that I couldn't do some things and who trusted that I could learn how to do certain things was very helpful. It did boost my confidence. I knew that there were problems like not having a strong heart, but I wasn't doing anything to help those problems. And, having someone who held me accountable in the best way and nicest way that she could was very helpful. I also feel like I lucked out. I went through 3 different personal trainers before I found this one. So the first one, he was as well as he could be. I know the gym manager who was flirtatious in very odd ways. He basically hired this guy because he knew him and because he felt that his work was good. But after he was there, everything kind of fell out, like it just didn't feel right. So the gym manager told me he had to fire basically his friend. And so then I had someone else who was, she eventually went to a private gym. I remember that. And so she was like, I'll find someone for you, blah, blah, blah. And she was helpful, but she was also so funny sometimes that it was so interesting. I remember like just being like, dude, you have to stop making jokes with me right now so that I can focus on doing like the Superwoman thing. Like she was making me laugh so hard because she was a drama theater person and it was Talk Like a Pirate Day. So she was like, she was just talking like a pirate and I was laughing my butt off, but I needed her to stop so that I could actually do my thing. And like, I think that I would have gone pretty far with her had she stayed there. It happens. And then the next person was this other person, Kate. And Kate, I just think is great. It's wonderful at actually, really like looking at what was going my trajectory was. And there were a lot of things that luckily I could do because I had taken karate as a kid and I had just been fairly active for most of my life. It's just get here, sit in the chair, and I'm done. I have, I'm really glad that I had her to motivate me and to again, hold me accountable. And I think there was a time where I used to, compare therapy to personal training where you can go to the gym, obviously, lots of people do, and you can see some results, just like in self-help stuff, reading books on your own, reading books on your own stuff. And then it can also be that, you might need someone there to just kind of be like, okay, come on, you can do this. This is the way this goes. Come on. That bit of push, that challenge that, is this going to push you as far as you can? And, there were days where she pushed me farther than I could. And I still highly recommend her as a personal trainer. So there's that, but I also can see the benefit in doing that. And we all know that from a ton of research that when your brain is depressed, when it's anxious, when it's traumatized, going and doing exercises helps your brain in so many different ways. And the lead person who has researched trauma for the last 30 years, he is all about yoga. Oh my gosh, he is so far gone about it. He's it's the best thing. It helps everyone, all of these things that he's really researched how trauma informed yoga can be very, very good. And he's the Bessel van der Kolk, who does all the research out of the Trauma Institute, I think, in Boston. Or he was doing that. I know he left. I don't know if he's back doing it. I don't know what happened. I just know that he was accused of being a bully, and he left. But there was like obviously he's doing something. He's written a lot of books about trauma in the body. They're very interesting. I found one of them a bit intense. The newest one, The Body Keeps Score. That one is a little intense and slightly dry, but very good information. I used a lot of his research for my thesis for grad school, and I feel that he kind of has that understanding of how alternative therapies can help someone in trauma. And so with all of the research that he's done, with all the research everyone else has done, there is all of this stuff that says exercising is great. We really need to do it more often. And, there's this idea that when you go to a gym that, they try to get you to come. They try to entice you with all sorts of things, donuts and pizza and stuff like that, and coffee. And some people are very critical of that, but I also think like that's very smart of them to try and get you just to come in. And especially if you've signed up for it and it's something that you do want to do. I heard recently that only 18% of people who sign up for the gym actually attend. And I'm like, well, I'm there. I see all the same people all the time because we're all there for the same reason and we're all free around the same time. It's very fun. And, you can have that camaraderie as well when you go and actually go to the gym. And if you are worried about how to use something or not knowing what might benefit you, get that, free personal training, thing. I know that they're trying to sell you and all of that stuff. Be good at negotiating before you go into that. I did go into that, like I always went into the gym as like negotiating. Like even my membership, it was like me and my friend, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna like do it this way. And I thought the best deal that I could get was gonna be one way. He walked in and he was like, yeah, so they have like a 2-year thing where we could just split like the highest tier. And I'm like, that works for me. Let's do that. And then I just kept it. It was pretty cool. And then when they, asked me about doing the personal training, I was still kind of starting up in private practice, so I didn't have too much spending money at all. So I negotiated, I think it was like $25 per 30-minute session. And then like they would be like, okay, well, if you add this, then we can do this. And, it ended up working out. It's just, it was like, you have to feel comfortable with negotiating and knowing what your budget is. And for me, my budget had always been low. So I wasn't about to be like, oh yeah, that's fine. Convince me into this thing that I don't really know if I want. It turned out very well. So I do but you also have to find the right, it's just like therapy. You have to find the right personal trainer for you, the one who's going to meet you where you are and all of that stuff, and not make you do all of these things that might actually put you in harm's way. And, with personal training in Connecticut, you don't have to have a license or a certification in it. It's preferred that you do, but you can also just be one of those people who's really good at knowing all the gym equipment and that type of stuff. But and the certification is like a weekend thing. And, of course I don't want to be like, oh God, it's just a weekend thing, because you are learning and it is very beneficial. It's just one of those things where you really have to watch out. Depending, do you want someone who's not certified? Do you want someone who just went, do you trust your body with someone who's only done this for a weekend and learned it? I trust my personal trainer, because she was like, yeah, so I am certified in this. However, I also was, 16, teaching people teaching like the younger kids how to do gymnastics. Yeah, I think she said she was like a gymnastics teacher for like 10 years or something. So like, something that's very impressive where she has known about like, okay, this is where you could go with all of that, and coaching assistant, all of that stuff for all of that time. Pretty interesting, impressive as well. So knowing maybe their background or something like that, because I know that like I've looked at some of the personal trainers and been like, you don't know what you're doing. I already know that is not safe. There's everything about your client that's saying that this is wrong. And then of course, like other people doing the wrong things where it's like, I just want to stop you. Stop doing that. That's bad. I've watched people do like, what is that called? The planks wrong. Like, not how you do it. But I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not about to touch you and be like, if you bring your core down just a little bit, you'll be at the right spot. But either they have to figure it out on their own or they have to find a personal trainer, because that's not me. Anyway, yeah. So again, just kind of reiterating that having a personal trainer can alleviate some of the things that go along, the symptoms that go along with things like depression, or diagnoses like depression, anxiety, trauma, in various ways. Anxiety, getting that energy out that would otherwise be taken up by your anxious thoughts, or depression where your body is telling you you can't get up, and that it always hurts. You know what, if it's gonna hurt, go to the gym. Like you're losing out either way. Just move your body in some way. And please don't think that I'm being dismissive or flippant about that. I know for some people, going from their couch to the kitchen is like the most movement that they can do after something bad happens to them, or when they're in the middle of a depressive episode. I understand that. I'm talking about the days where it's like, I could go to the gym, my body hurts. Well, your body might hurt. Maybe you should still go to the gym. Maybe you need that personal trainer to hold you accountable, who you're paying, and you don't want to, lose out on that money or waste their time, or, whatever it is, just a consideration. And of course, I'm not, you have to consult with your doctor right before you get into like even the gym. So like, if you really medically can't do it, only do what you can do. If it's doing like, you're like your what is that, physical therapist, exercises, do those, all of that will be good for your brain too. It's just, you have to do it. Right. Anyway, I hope that was helpful for you. And again, I'm grateful for all the likes, subscribes, and I guess getting into comments and followers and all of that stuff. So, also I want to mention that I'm on Instagram at counseling_with_love. So, and on Facebook, I have a business page that's Counseling with Love with Vanessa Love, our counselor and art psychotherapist. All right. Well, I hope all of you have a lovely weekend, and I will talk with you soon. All right. Have a good one.